Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a live edition. I'm back. Missed 3 shows. It seemed like I missed about a month. Lost track of what's going on here during the holidays. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. And we'll talk some sports and leading up to the new year. We're going to have Brent Beaird join us here, our Heisman Trophy voter and college football analyst here in just a second. A lot of bowl games going on. We can talk about those. NFL's been great as well. But let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. And we are joined by the one and the only Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing, bud?
Well, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Good to be on with you guys. And look, we are in the middle of bowl season. There's a lot going on. This is a time of year where there are probably 4 bowl games, basically on from noon until past midnight, which is wonderful for college football. It's kind of unrecognizable, shall we say, for a lot of reasons. We're approaching the national championship as far as the semifinals, and in the midst of all that, we've just moved past the early signing period, and the portal is still going on, and again, it's a unbelievable calendar for December.
Yeah, it is. Brent, before we jump into some of the bowl games and what's going on, when you mentioned the dates of kids being able to go in the transfer portal while the season's still going on. I mean, obviously, I watch probably not as many bowl games as I used to. Just had a lot going on, but I still love bowl games. I don't care who's playing, but it is very odd to me with the amount of people opting out, the people going into the portal. In your opinion, what needs to be changed to, I don't want to say save the bowl games, because it doesn't matter if people show up or watch them anyway. It's still all generated by TV dollars. But what in your opinion needs to change?
Well, the good thing that we've done is we have now made the playoffs the main thing, and we should have done that years ago. And the bowls are second, and now with the 12-team playoff, the playoff is going to be the most important thing instead of the bowls. But with that said, I mean, I'm with you. I watch as many of them as I can. I still think they are important for a variety of reasons. But the reality is something has got to happen. And the bowls have enough power to where I still think eventually something will get done. Now, I've heard about 3 different scenarios to save the bowl games. One would be to tie the bowl games into name, image, and likeness. In other words, this sounds strange, but that this might happen, is to pay the players to pay in the bowls. Something across the board along that line would be a possibility. The other thing I'm hearing, and this sounds strange, but it actually is gaining some momentum, is to play some of the bowls not at the end of the year, but believe it or not, at the beginning of the year. Now, I don't know if that will happen, but I'm hearing more and more of that within the media, that might be some sort of a possibility to do. And see, the problem we've got right now with the bowls is like Texas A&M, who lost last night because of an injury and so forth. They were actually on their 4th-string quarterback, if you can believe that, and he played okay. And the other issue that you've got is for the Florida State-Georgia game, we're going to have basically 40 players combined from both teams who are either starters or in the two deep depth chart who will not be playing in the game. So, Shane, you know good and well that, particularly after following the Bowls for years, the Bowls are in a difficult situation. So I'm sure they're going to be making their voice heard over the next few months as to what to do, because financially this could be a disaster for them. So that's going to be very important.
Brent, I may have already asked you this, and they may have stated how it's going to work, but like I said, my mind is so clogged up right now and hadn't been following sports. So let's jump forward to next year with the 12-team playoff. Obviously, the
Yes.
top four get a bye. So let's
Right.
just throw Florida in there. Let's say Florida's the 12 seed or whatever.
Sure.
They're obviously going to have to play a game. But if they lose, I guess the losers of those first round games, is their season done, or will they be going to a certain bowl?
I think their season is done. I haven't heard that they would play in a bowl. Now, but here's the other amazing thing for next year. The playoff starts next year on December the 20th, when we're going to have a Friday game. Yes, Friday. And then we're going to have 3 on Saturday, which will be the next day on the 21st. Now, that 20th is also going to be the same. It's going to be the same week as the early signing time, which is amazing too. So the bottom line for this is the coaches have got to do something to get a hold of this calendar. They unfortunately have brought this on themselves. And really the thing they need to do is they need to move signing day to another month and maybe have an actual early signing period in, say, August or September. I know that sounds strange, but we've talked about it for years. Now, the other thing they need to do is they need to move the portal on some other dates too. The portal actually closes January the 2nd. Now, think about this a minute. You've got teams in the playoffs on the 1st. Portal closes on the 2nd. Now, my understanding is that, and I saw this a few minutes ago, it said it should be noted that the players on teams participating in the college football playoff or another particularly late bowl game could enter the portal without penalty in mid-January. So there is a little clause in there for these teams in the playoffs. But my point to this is, without it getting too confusing, is we have too much stuff going on at the same time. So college football has got to do something to save itself in December with the schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, think about next year. You said the playoffs don't start till the 20th, and I bet there will be some guys that want to opt out or go into the portal that really screw their football team, possibly. Because
that is
I think
possible. Yes,
there's no. It's all about me, you know. What can I do to help myself go somewhere else to make more money, or go get ready for the NFL? And I understand it, but I don't understand it. So, Brent, we got a question here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. Says it's from Johnny. Says, what did Louisville USC do to the perception for the ACC, especially with 24 opt-outs for Southern Cal?
Well, I was quite surprised, frankly, that USC won with as poor as their defense is. Now, obviously, they were on their backup, second or third quarterback. Now, I guess one of the good things about these opt-outs is some of these guys, particularly at quarterback, get a chance to play. So that certainly helps them. frankly, has done well in the bowl game so far. They deserve some credit for that. We've criticized them. Virginia Tech, for instance, won yesterday. West Virginia beat North Carolina. Louisville guys at this point, they were slipping as the year went on. I still love the coaching staff at Louisville with Brom there. I think they're going to do very well. Frankly, now Miami plays this afternoon. If they win, then they'll go to 8-5. That would certainly help them. Boston College plays this afternoon. That's like a noon game. NC State plays tonight. Well, actually 5:45. Clemson plays tomorrow at noon. Notre Dame plays. They're not a ACC team, but they play a lot of ACC games. So there's still a lot to be decided with the ACC, but they do deserve some credit for all the criticism they've had, that they have done well in the bowl so far.
Yeah, John says Syracuse got run out of the stadium by USF. What a laughter! Yeah, they were down to playing a tight end at quarterback.
Yeah,
Syracuse
right.
was, and then yeah, and they didn't have their coach was gone, so I don't know who coached or whatever. There's a game that's kind of intriguing tonight to me, Brent. It's number 12 Oklahoma against number 14 Arizona in the Alamo Bowl. That's usually a fun, exciting game
Right.
every
Right.
year. Now you got to remember, Dylan Gabriel's gone,
Yes.
their quarterback. So I don't know who's the backup is for Oklahoma. And then I saw Arizona coached by Jed Fish. The quarterback that played for him majority of the year and had a good year is now he got hurt, I believe, and they replaced him by somebody else. So that original starter is now in the transfer portal. It's crazy how these kids don't like to compete or what have you. But that
Yeah.
should be a
Yeah.
fun game to watch.
Well, it will be. And I'm just going to say real quick, keep an eye on Jed Fish. He's done a tremendous job in Arizona. This is a guy that obviously has some Florida ties. So I'm not saying that he's coming to Florida. That's not why I'm bringing this up. But I'm bringing it up because he's done a good job, and I think, Shane, would you say he is a guy to watch over the next few years?
Yeah, and I know Jed very well. Jed's coached a long time. Basically begged Coach Spurrier just to be a volunteer coach back in his college days. I think I've told people this. He's from up in the New York area and came down here to go to law school. And I think he did get his law degree. But his roommate was Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's very, very interesting.
Really?
J&J Trucking on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, I don't understand why some players are sitting out, like Joe Milton, when they don't have him being drafted in the first 3 rounds. I hear you. I don't think if Joe Milton plays great, it's going to help his stock. What Joe Milton's going to do is he's going to go to the combine and he's going to shatter records at the combine. Now, I don't know if he breaks a lot of Anthony Richardson's records. I don't know how fast he is, but when they see him throw the football 100 miles an hour and about 95 yards in the air,
Yeah.
and he
Right.
bench presses X amount, they're going to fall in love with him, and whoever drafts him will get fired after 3 years. He
Right.
cannot play.
No, he's not very accurate at all. But here's the other side of that coin: is with him sitting out, Nico Lamaliva, who is the guy that the fans love because he's the backup quarterback, is going to get a chance to play. So Lamaliva, and I may be mispronouncing that, but let's go with it, is a situation where you'll be able to see him in a full game. And look, I know it's a bowl game. I get all that. I know it's Iowa. And I tell you what, Iowa, we know is not very good offensively, but defensively, Iowa is one of the better defensive teams in the nation. So
Yeah.
that will be a challenge for him. So that they will have some pretty decent tape for Nico to look at in the off season. So that for him and ball fans, that really has worked out rather well.
Yeah, hopefully he plays well with all the money that they paid him. If he
Yeah,
plays, if
really.
he lays an egg in that bowl game, can you imagine what the
Whew.
volunteer
Yeah.
whatever they call it, committee or whatever that they put together to pay this kid what they're thinking?
Yes,
So we'll
you're
see.
right.
Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. We got Brent Beard on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Brent, I didn't realize this stat that you gave me, but Gus Malzahn had his first losing season as a college football coach.
Yeah, he did. Well, there are a couple ways of looking at Gus. Gus is very consistent, and he deserves credit for that. But here is the reality for Gus. Gus has lost at least 4 games in 10 consecutive seasons. So this happened at Auburn. It's now going on at UCF. Now look, there are a lot of coaches who'd love to have Gus's record, but this notion that Gus is an elite coach is not true. If you're losing 4 games a year for 10 straight years, you're not an elite coach. You're a good coach. You're a solid coach, and he deserves some credit for that. But when you look at Gus, you kind of have to take the whole picture to look at it. But he's found a home in UCF and frankly doing well.
Yeah, really is. Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Brent, how impressed were you with David Braun at Northwestern this season and what they did to Utah in their bowl game?
Well, the thing that, and people need to Google that when they have some time and see what they have done there as far as how well they ended the season. I think he's done a fine job and deserves a lot of credit. So, see, this is one of the great things about having the 12-team playoff. Teams that get off to a rough start or not going. I mean, now we say, okay, they've lost a game. Certainly 2 games they're out of it. Now with 12-team playoff, and I'm not saying they're going to let a team in who's 8-4 necessarily, but if you get off to a bad start and you roll on like Northwestern did this year, you may end up in the playoff one year. So I think that's one of the good things about it. But great point. People take some time to look at that because they did as well to end the season, frankly, as anybody did.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job for everything that was going on there. On the Titan Our text line, Daryl says, "Good morning, guys. I'm in a bowl picking contest, and these games are like rolling dice. Watching these games, I say to myself, Florida should have been in a bowl game. I mean, yeah, I mean, we could have beaten some of the teams, but it's
Yeah.
all tie in with your conference, and we weren't good enough out of our conference to get in. Brent, Cam Ward from Washington State's probably the number 1 quarterback out there. Is yet to decide where he's going to play next year. Your thoughts on where he may end up?
There's a lot of speculation about. Now, my understanding is Miami and Florida State are involved because he's taken official visits there. There is interest from Southern Cal, Nebraska, Louisville, Washington, among others. I'm curious your opinion on this. There is also talk that he may be interested in it. I think he's looking at his draft score to see where he's going to be. But he's the real deal, and just because he played at Washington State, probably a lot of people never watched him play, and I understand that. But yes, he's probably the best quarterback out there right now who does not have a home. He's 6'2", 223, 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 picks. So he would be a tremendous quarterback, frankly. All in all, I know you've seen him. I'm curious what you think about him, Shane. And is he an NFL prospect right now?
The NFL guys like him. He's a pretty good player. I think people forget this will be his second he started his career, I think, in Incarnate Word, or I can't. I think that's how you
Correct.
pronounce it. He
You're
threw
right.
for a
Yes,
he threw for 1 million yards at that level.
he did.
Wazoo
Yes.
signs him. I think he's got to be in a good system, but yeah, he's got a good arm. We'll see, but he's an athletic guy that can hurt you with his legs too.
Right.
Um, I bet he ends up at Ohio State is my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Could
just
be.
guessing there. Just guessing. Um, Brent, we had a couple of texts here on the Titan Mar text line referring to Lane Kiffin getting an extension. Didn't say anything about what he's going to be making. I think they just linked in his contract. I think Lane makes about 9 million, if I'm not mistaken.
He does.
But I did
Yes.
being in Mississippi, seeing my Ole Miss and Mississippi State buddies. I did see this stat, and I don't know if it's correct or not. I saw it on Twitter, but Ole Miss's collective is called the Grove Collective, and we know what they've done in the portal. I mean, kids, I don't know how much these kids are making. I don't know if it's Lane's coaching style, if Lane makes them go to class, if Lane lets them just do whatever they want to do. But they got the number one portal class. But their
Yeah.
collective, the Grove Collective, has over 5,000 members in it.
Right.
And I saw somewhere somebody state that the Florida Victorious Collective has like 2,000 members in it. So I don't know if that's made a difference or what. But I know they got a lot of money at Ole Miss and they are spending it.
They are. The thing they've done, as good as anything, is they have encouraged these guys to come back for next year. Jackson Dart's coming back. I think Junkins is coming back, or he is heavily considering it. Trey Harris, the wide receiver, is coming back. And what they've also done is as Lane always does, is they've done very well with the portal, i.e., Walter Nolan, the A&M defensive lineman, has committed to Ole Miss, and that is huge for him. He is 6'5", 300, the number one player in the transfer portal, according to some. Now, they're going for a record 11th win this year. And see, the 12-team playoff is made for Lane because they are probably at the point where they can get the playoff. I still don't think they've got Georgia and Alabama talent, but they have really he has raised their level of play. I'm curious what you think about them to the point to where people are looking at them now as a possible playoff team. They enjoy playing for him. And remember, Pete Golding from Alabama, their former defense coordinator, is now defense coordinator at Ole Miss. So they're getting that going. Lane is 3-4 in bowl games at this point. So, but anyway, that's an interesting question because yes, they do have a lot of money to spend with either keeping their guys at home or bringing in other ones.
Yeah, and people kind of like probably shake their head about Ole Miss having money. They have a lot of money at that school. They just now that they have an opportunity to legally spend it or give it, they will. So Evan Stewart, the wide receiver, is probably the top wide receiver in the portal now from A&M. Where do you think he lands, Brent?
Well, I think the thing with Stewart is look where the money's going, unfortunately. I'm not talking about how greedy he is. He's just looking around. There were reports early on that he may end up in Alabama or Texas. Now, where that's going now, according to Pete Nakos, I'll give him a plug for that. Orange State, Ole Miss, Oregon, Tennessee, Southern Cal. I mean, he's a tremendous wide receiver. I mean, he's caught close to 100 passes for A&M, so he is certainly making the move. Nothing definitive on him, but I mean, Shane, can you imagine the money that's coming his way?
Oh, I mean, he's a really good player. You're right. He's going to be making a lot of money. Whoever he signs with, don't think he's signing there because he likes team's uniforms
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
coach or something.
Absolutely.
He's
Yes.
going because of the check each month.
Yep.
All right, Brent, let's go around the conference real quick. Obviously, Alabama's got a huge one against Michigan. I don't know who's favored in this game now. I think it's gone back and forth, but this
Yeah.
should be a heck of a game out in the Rose Bowl.
Oh, there's no doubt. Now Michigan has been favored by like 1.5, something like that. So that'll go back and forth a little bit. But look, these are two line of scrimmage football teams. They'll be playing this in a phone booth in some ways. Now, the thing for Michigan that I think is impressive, well, there are a bunch of things. J.J. McCarthy's pretty solid quarterback. Blake Corum is very good as their running back. Michigan is tied for the third fewest giveaways in the nation with 7, and they lead the nation with fewest penalties. That means they don't beat themselves, and that's extremely important. But I think the difference here is going to be Jalen Milroe is a quarterback that Michigan hasn't played. They haven't seen a whole lot of guys as versatile as Milroe, but I think it's going to be important for Milroe that he is calm and that he is low key in the beginning, and that the moment doesn't overwhelm him. You got to remember, as good as Bama has been, as much as they've improved, this is still a young team. You're in the Rose Bowl. You're in the playoffs. How does that affect you? So I still think Alabama with Milroe may be the difference. That's what I've heard from Michigan media is they have just not dealt with anybody that athletic. And I'm asking you too, Shane, when you're dealing with a guy like that, and you don't know what he's going to do, either run or throw, that can cause you problems, can it?
Yeah, I like Alabama in the game. I just think I think they've had a heck of a year. I think Milroe, we all know, has gotten better and better. Um, he's not a great thrower. I don't know if he ever will be, but he's
Right.
an electric running back or a runner for a quarterback, and he throws a great deep ball. So it should be a slobber knocker in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Will be.
Arkansas, obviously, we know they have a new offensive coordinator. Um, KJ Jefferson's still in the portal. People think he's going to go to UCF. Do you think they met with KJ Jefferson and said you need to move on because he does not fit into Bobby Petrino's offense at all?
They may have. That's very possible. So and look, and Jefferson's a good quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback, but like Milroe, he's got this Jalen Hurts type of a frame. He's a big guy. He's often been injured because he's struggled behind an offensive line. Also, so that's going to be fascinating to see where Jefferson goes. The UCF's had Plumlee, who was at Ole Miss, ironically, and Plumlee's not a good thrower, and Jefferson's a decent thrower, but he makes so many plays with his legs. So that is certainly one to watch. Marlon Crockett, one of the Arkansas wide receivers, is also entered the transfer portal too.
Auburn's playing Maryland, another game that's got a ton of people sitting out. You look at Maryland, Tua's little brother is opting out of the bowl game. But what's strange to me is he may be going into the portal to go play somewhere else next year. That just blows my mind.
Well, see, the thing is with now Tua's little brother's named Talia, and he's done really well at Maryland. I mean, he set Maryland records right and left, so he deserves a lot of credit for that. So he's still determined what he's going to do. I don't think at this point that he's an NFL quarterback. I mean, he may be down the line. There's some talk about him maybe being a graduate transfer, but what I also understand is that he is out of eligibility. So now, see, he played when he was in Alabama one year. He played you can play 4 games and it not count against your eligibility. Well, in Alabama one year he played 5, so if he wants to play, he would actually have to get a waiver with that. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Auburn certainly looking for a bowl win, which would help them. They've done well in recruiting. They've done well in the portal. Robbie Ashford's no longer at Auburn. The Thorne kid from the Big Ten is going to be your quarterback next year. So this will be a very, I think, an interesting game in the Music City Bowl.
1966 HBC beer is available at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Gator Games in the O-Dome, and select retail outlets. Crisp American Lager, that's 1966 HBC beer. A few more minutes with Brent Beaird going through the SEC here on the Titan Moore Highline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. All right, the Mighty Gators get a new strength coach.
Yep.
Have some guys coming in for visits. A couple of players have committed elsewhere. Let's talk about the Gators.
Yeah, South Alabama transfer defensive back Jaden Voisin, Voisin, is playing on Visiting Florida, 146 tackles and 6 interceptions the last 2 seasons. So he's caught some people's eye. Chris McClellan, defensive lineman at Florida, is committed to Missouri. He will have 2 years left with that. Also Kendrick Simpkins from Western Kentucky, he's a safety, has been linked to Florida. Also, and again, if you're listening and you hear South Alabama and Western Kentucky, don't let that bother you, because as Shane and I've said, there's some good players on these teams. They may not be your favorite team to watch, or they may not be in the playoffs, but that doesn't mean some of these guys can't come in and help your team. So don't get, my caveat here is, Shane, is our listeners don't get carried away with if you don't know a whole lot about the school they're coming from.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me one bit. If you look at up and down the NFL, most of the rosters are made up of small school players.
Yep.
And
Yep.
a lot of great transfers came from small schools for teams around the country last year. The semis and the Dogs playing in the Orange Bowl. There's been a lot of talk about this game. A lot of players sitting out. I guess it looks like, is Brock Bowers going pro, Brent?
We don't know. He's got a decision to make about that. Now, Bowers did not make the trip to Miami, but he is rehabbing his ankle, and there is some talk that Bowers may still play in the game, that he will get there later. Amarius Mims, the right tackle, was not on the plane either. We don't quite know what he's going to do. Now, Ladd McConkey, Kamari Lassiter, and Javian Bullard, they did make the trip. So they are also going to be playing too. Now, in some of these games, players who have committed to go to the NFL or the transfer portal are actually staying and playing in the games. I don't know how awkward that is, but that is going on. So they are to be committed a little bit for being able to do that. So we'll watch that. But yes, we don't know about Bowers. I mean, look, Bowers is going to be drafted rather high. I believe he'll probably go. I do believe if he can play, he'll probably play in the bowl game. I mean, he's that kind of a player, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. Carson Beck, by the way, we expect him to come back. He is basically saying that. I think he wanted and may have gotten a big raise on his NIL deal, so we will watch that. FSU, at one point, and I think it's above this now, they had 17 players, 17 on their 2-deep depth chart who are no longer on the 2-deep depth charts. So, look, This is difficult. It's a sign of the times. I wish these FSU players had decided, look, we got we didn't get the result we wanted in the playoffs, but we're going to play in the bowl game. But that's not going to be the case. So so the Orange Bowl, one of the more prestigious bowl games this year, is going to have a lot of guys not playing in the game. So, and one of those, if people haven't heard, Tate Rodemaker, who took over, is going into the portal. But basically, their third string quarterback, Glenn Beck, is going to be your starter in the bowl game. And if he gets hurt, they may call you and me see if we can play.
That's right. And nothing against Tate Rodemaker, but he's going to end up, if he's lucky, he'll be playing at a small school, in my opinion. I don't think any Power 5 school signs him personally. Kentucky and Clemson playing the Gator Bowl tomorrow. Normally this would be, I don't know what it looks like in Jacksonville, if it's going to be a good crowd. Usually these two teams would travel well for this bowl game. But as you just mentioned, Brent, I know Kentucky's got guys that are in the portal but going to play for the Wildcats in the game. Just bizarre. Bizarre.
Yes. Ray Davis, the running back, and cornerback Andrew Phillips have declared for the NFL draft, but they're going to play in the game. Kentucky lost 13 players to the portal, but three additional guys, are going to be playing too. Now, Devin Leary, the quarterback, and Marion Brown, Dane Key, and Tavalion Robinson are going to be playing. So Kentucky has pretty much got a lot of their guys all the way around, so that's good for them. Now, Clemson, I think this game is going to be determined about how good this Clemson defense is going to be stocked with players. Clemson will win this game if their defense plays well. They've got one of the better front sevens anywhere, but at the same time, we will see about who's coming back and so forth. I know Will Shipley's playing. The offensive line is going to be playing. So I'm with you. I'm hoping they have a good crowd.
Yeah. Alan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law, Rodemaker to Valdosta State with a question mark. He's from Valdosta. That would make sense. If I'm him and I want to go in the portal, don't you go play and try to impress some other Power 5 schools?
Yeah,
I don't know. He probably don't want to. He doesn't want a piece of that Georgia defense, is what it is.
Yeah, well, that could be some too.
LSU and Wisconsin are playing. It looks like obviously Garrett Nussmeier is going to start because Jaden Daniels is sitting out. But it looks like all their weapons. They got some damn good wide receivers. That it looks like they're going to be playing in this game.
They are. Yeah, absolutely. And Mekhi Wingo, their defensive tackle, is going to be playing in the game. He's been cleared. But yes, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, they're going to be playing in the game. And one of the reasons why, and Neighbors is 21 yards shy of the LSU all-time receiving record. So now he may get the record and sit out with that. Brian Thomas wants to kind of build his draft stock a little bit with that. Mason Smith, we don't quite know what he's going to do for the NFL. He's going to play too. Now, if people haven't heard, LSU defense coordinator Mike Denbrock is going to Notre Dame, and he was the offense coordinator for Notre Dame 2 other times. Shane, how many times did you go back to a school 3 times if you're a coach? That's kind of unusual, is it not? But
it really is. Speaking of coaching, there's been a bunch of rumors that if Michigan, Jim Harbaugh leaves, that Brian Kelly wants that Michigan job, or either they want him. Do you think he leaves LSU to go to Michigan?
I've seen the rumors. I give credit to Matt Moscano, one of the radio hosts at LSU, who's well known, that Matt just basically said that he could see Kelly being an option for doing that. So we will see. Keep your eye on that one. and where that's going. I mean, Kelly just basically just got there and he wanted to. I mean, he left Notre Dame in order to go to LSU to get. Let's just be honest. Higher recruited players. So does he want to leave there? Don't know, but just keep your eye on that one.
Yep. Somebody had a question on here. How's the basketball team looking heading into Kentucky's game? I mean, they're 8-3, I think. They've played well at times. Kentucky, I think that game's January the 6th. We'll talk more about that as it gets closer, but Kentucky's talented as usual. Andy says Riley Kugel better find his game. Yeah, he's been terrible. You've not seen him in the game during crucial situations. You can't trust him right now to make any plays. The team's got a chance, but it's one of the better Kentucky teams I've seen in a long time.
It is.
All right, Brent, last thing for you. Ole Miss, Penn State should be an interesting game in Atlanta. There'll be a lot of Ole Miss folks there for sure.
Yes.
But as you mentioned earlier, Lane Kiffin's trying to win 11 games. I don't think it's ever been done in Oxford.
No, and credit to him for doing that. That's going to be very a milestone for them. And let me also throw in here, this to me, one of the better games is Missouri and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a terrific game. By the way, Missouri quarterback Jake Garcia, who used to be with Miami, he is in the transfer portal. And obviously with Brady Cook at Missouri, he won't be there. But I'm Shane, this is a reverse of a lot of schools. I can't tell you how excited Missouri is to be in this game. And look, this is like a playoff game in Missouri. All hands are on deck, and they want to beat Ohio State, considered one of the better teams in America, win the Cotton Bowl. This will mean a lot to their season. So look for them to play well. And again, remember for Ohio State, Kyle McCord, their starting quarterback, is transferred to Syracuse. So Devin Brown will start in his place. And I know I mentioned Miami a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to throw this out real quick. Ja'Cory Brown, who is a talented quarterback for them, is a good dual threat guy, not real proven yet, but he will be the starter for Miami today in the Pinstripe Bowl versus Rutgers.
Yeah, we got a text here from Bob on the Titan MR text line. I wanted to bring this up too. He says, "Did you guys see the player from Eastern Michigan sucker punch the South Alabama kid while they were singing the alma mater?" Yeah, I don't know if people saw that on Twitter. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
No. They had some bad blood at the end of the game, and basically the two teams got into a brawl not once, but at least twice. So, yes, they were. It was a horrible, and you've got to believe, Shane, the guy who punched him will be. I mean, he has to be severely punished for that. I mean, my stars, Shane. Look, and I'm not an attorney, but I mean that's a criminal assault. The way it looked. So I'm wondering if the legal system gets involved in that somehow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, Brent, one last comment here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing before we get you out of here. Daniel says, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss feels similar to Steve Spurrier's time at South Carolina or James Franklin's time at Vanderbilt. I'm not sure if they will be able to continue their success if or when he leaves. I'd agree with that 100%.
Yeah, he is. And again, we don't know how long Lane will be there, but and I know Lane. Look, Lane eventually is going to be, if he continues on this track, Lane is going to be at one of the upper echelon schools in the SEC. I can see that, but he's done a really good job. I think the thing that Lane realizes now, he's got to do something defensively, and that's why he's got Golding there. But look, he is, and as Shane mentioned a few minutes ago, I mean, when you look at coaches and what they make, I mean, Lane is making good money. I mean, Lane's making close to $10 million a year, which is among the leaders. So the future is pretty bright for Lane if he's able to continue on this track.
Yep, for sure. Brent, great stuff as always, my man. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Good. Look forward to it, bud. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. Join us on the Tyke No More Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Take a quick time out, come back, get to a lot of these comments before we get out of here. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
All right, Coach. Last year, the best party in Gator Nation was at Spurrier's Visor's Rooftop. But now, we're in 23, we're celebrating this year. What the restaurant has planned for this year, New Year's Eve.
That's right. We got usual great food here at Spurrier's. We got wonderful music, and it's the best way to ring in 2024. It's going to be Advisor's Rooftop Bar from 7 through midnight to about 1 a.m. We got elevated hors d'oeuvres. We got sparkling wine pairings. We're going to dance to the DJ Elio here all through the night. Got to be 21 and older, but the tickets are going fast.
And so how much are the tickets for?
The Visor party tickets are $125 a piece, and trust me, you'll get your money's worth.
Now, Coach, where can we purchase the ticket?
You can purchase the tickets at www.spurriers.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structure with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Greg says, first-year Auburn coach makes bowl game. Well, our first-year coach last year made a bowl game too, Greg. But if you look at the schedule, and it's just how your schedule works out, Florida was a better team than Auburn. But they're going to a bowl game, so give them credit. We got a text here on the Titan MR text line from Johnny. He says, Shane, your observation of the new strength coach, and do you think Billy Napier still fires some offensive coaches? I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about the strength coach. That's not something that I'm very familiar with at all. Obviously, highly acclaimed guy in the NFL, I think. I read that correctly. Yeah, we need to get bigger, stronger, and faster. And people still think that after some of these bowl games that he may bring in an offensive coordinator or something. I don't know. I don't have any. I've been gone. Hadn't kept up with it. I am surprised that we still have 2 offensive line coaches, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make any changes or not. I still say this: offense was not our problem. It was not great at times. I get it, but not everybody's offense is great all the time. I'm more concerned about the other stuff and hopefully that will help. Let's get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. It says here, in 2008, the Detroit Lions, who, by the way, just won their first division title, I think, since 1993, they lost 31-21 to the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. It was the first team in NFL history to go winless in a 16-game season. The Lions went 0-16. That's This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Dan asked on Facebook Live, are you concerned with so much turnover with the staff these first 3 years? Yes and no. I think some of them, I mean, if you look at the linebacker coach Bateman that just went to A&M, I mean, he's going to be the defensive coordinator. Huge pay raise. He's in charge of the defense. That means obviously Billy hired a good coach that somebody else wanted. Sometimes you hire guys, they don't get it done. You got to make a change. So, Andy says Fred Taylor made the final 15 cut of the NFL Hall of Fame. Do you think he's more deserving than Julius Peppers? Look, I'm a Fred Taylor guy. I think Fred Taylor is the best running back the University of Florida's ever had in my times of watching. I became a Gator in '88, and I don't think anybody carried the ball like Fred Taylor, including Emmett. Fred was ran with power and had tremendous speed. He definitely needs to be in the NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, if you look at his stats that he ran for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If he was in a major city with a team with great tradition, he'd already be in my opinion. Andy says, does it feel like we are getting discount players in the portal? I know wins play a factor, but no big pickups in the portal recruiting class would grab good guys at least face value. Well, the guys we got in the recruiting class didn't get no face value. They got paid a lot. I couldn't tell you who I would want out of we'd like to get like Walter Nolan, who just committed to Ole Miss. Absolutely. I think he's a very good player. I think he was the #1 defensive lineman in America when he came out of high school. But he went where there's more money, and he probably sees how Ole Miss is playing and wants to play there. I think people forget most of these places have slotted dollars or dollar amounts for each position. It's just like, look, I know Etienne's going to Georgia. I think he's a good football player. I'm not concerned about it one bit. I think we have really good running backs. And if you look at the NFL, I think college teams are going to be looking at running backs like the NFL to do as well. You're not going to pay X amount of dollars over this for a running back. And I think Etienne is going to get maybe fewer carries at Georgia than he did here. That's just my personal opinion. And he's got to learn to block, or Kirby won't play him at all. Let's see, anybody else here? There was one other one I wanted to get to, but I can't find it. So that's just my thoughts. I know a lot of people went nuts when they knew it was going to happen, but when it was came out public the other day, I would not lose any sleep over it. Joseph says Arkansas is getting 5-star linebackers out of the portal, and we are offering Bowling Green's linebackers. Arkansas has 2 studs at linebacker out of the portal last 2 years. Arkansas has more money. That's all I can say, Joseph. Nobody wants to believe me on this, but those are the facts. It's just like in your job. If this school offers you $100,000 to go do whatever, and then somebody down the road or in your same field offers you $200,000, you're going to go for the $200,000 job. Camp says, can we go after Stewart from A&M? I think we are, but we're not going to be able to match the dollars that the other schools throw. I think he'll end up at like a Ole Miss, Alabama, or Ohio State would be my choices for him. Joseph said Arkansas has more money than Florida. Absolutely, they do. When you think of Walmart, you think of Purdue Chicken, you think of they have huge corporations that have Arkansas ties. So anyway, that's just and like I said, I don't know who our boosters are. I'm just going by I mean, Walmart is a lot of money, and they are Arkansas people, and I think it's Purdue Chicken out there, and there's one other big company near Fayetteville, Arkansas. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Again, I know people want to go after these 5 stars. They're upset that we're not signing them. Look, Missouri had a walk-on running back from a Division II school lead the SEC in rushing. So you never know. You never know how it's going to be. Joe says he's beginning to believe we will never be good again if we are broke, as you say. I didn't say we were broke. I'm just telling y'all how it's Tyson chicken. You're right. Thanks, Count. I'm just telling y'all that your collectives have X amount of dollars in there. And then they try to, and this is not just us, it's every team. This is what we're willing to pay for a left tackle. This is what we're willing to pay for a running back. And if you don't have the money to offer that position, or you don't think that position is a need, you don't deal with it. And Dan says it's Walmart, Tyson Chicken, and JB Hunt Trucking. Yeah, well, I don't know what we have. Maybe Gatorade, but I don't know if Gatorade has anything to do with the University of Florida anymore because Pepsi owns it, I think. That was going to do it for today's show. Appreciate y'all chiming in. Good to be back. Got to get back into the swing of things. We'll talk a little more Gators tomorrow. We'll try to maybe talk about the Kentucky Wildcats rolling into the O'Connell Center as well. Enjoy the bowl games today. We'll be back here tomorrow, folks. Have a great day and take care.